Are you looking to level up your author business?
Are you pounding your head against a wall, wondering what your next step should be? Then join me, Daniel Wilcox.
And me, Sacha Black, as we haul ass each week in a bid to level up.
Level up!
Come along for the ride as we delve deep into the business of writing,
Craft,
entrepreneurship,
and every level of the author journey. This is the Next Level Author Podcast. Hello Achievers, and welcome to episode number 44 of the Next Level Author Podcast, a podcast where we hold each other to account and track our step-by-step progress as we level up our author business. My name is Daniel Wilcox, and here with me every week is...
Sacha Black. Hello,
Sacha
darling.
Black. How are you, Sacha?
I am okay. I've had a bit of a frustrating admin-filled week, but otherwise I'm fine. I'm hoping that by the end of this weekend, I can have done all of the admin so that next week is a majority-filled writing week.
The dream.
Yeah.
The goddamn dream. Yeah. Why so much admin? That's the question.
I don't know, but my inbox got on top of me again. I've had lots of collaboration things come up. And while obviously they're great, it just creates more things that I need to do that aren't writing. And of course, obviously I want to do lots of them. So they're great, they're fantastic, but also everything that I do that isn't writing. And at the moment, I'm getting maybe 5 hours a day to work. And I'm, I would say I've written 1,300 words this week. And that is, normally I can write between 7 and 10K a week. So if that is indicative of how much admin I've had this week, there we go. My inbox still has 26 emails that all need personal responses.
Nice. I'm on 32 at the minute. I
Oh,
got full through those today. Yeah.
I started at over 50 though, so I've done all right.
Always a fucking competition with you. Isn't
though?
But no, I get you. Like some of the weeks the admin stuff gets on top of you. Like for me at the minute, I today. Well, this week I discovered that I've actually got an extra week to do a client project than I thought I had, which was nice because I was getting to the point where I was like, I have nothing left, and just running with no progress. So I've taken the opportunity to actually sort of go a bit easier on myself, but get some of the stuff done that has been just on my mind for ages. So I'm doing a bunch of mailing responders and building them from scratch. I've not really looked at them properly in about 3 years. As well,
they get out of date so fast as well, don't they?
Yeah. And I'm also doing a load of stuff to my website just to sort of bring it up to scratch and lay foundations for direct sales and things, just to make it a bit more robust so I can use it a lot better. So
you're copying me then? Yeah,
pretty much. But I mean, is it copying or is it just, good business practice?
I don't know. We could
probably both.
Yeah.
That will satisfy your ego. But yeah, so I've been taking that just a little bit easier the last couple of days. Definitely feel like I'm presenting maybe on camera a lot better than last week because I was shattered. And what else has been going on? Oh, so I got a couple of book covers back this week. I've got one back for the productivity book, and I've also got a new one that I'm sort of back and forth with a designer about for collaboration for authors, because I want to tie my nonfiction into a bit more of stronger branding across the board. So I'm excited about those. And I also pretty much scrapped everything that I've done for productivity and started from scratch, because I finally got to a point where I know the angle, I know what direction I'm taking with it. And as I'm laying down the word, it just feels so much better than the last few times I've tried to write it. And most of that I just owe to reading a bit more and finally getting to a point where I understand, because it is the biggest project I feel like I've taken on, because I said to you earlier this week that when talking about productivity, there's a lot of science behind it, and there is a lot of sort of evidential things that you can get from research and statistics and stuff. And I think I was getting a bit too bogged down in trying to be 100% right with stuff. And that doesn't mean that I'm basically going to be bullshitting and blustering my way through and saying this will work when it won't. But the point is, I want with this book to communicate a percentage of it as a memoir in terms of this has worked for my journey and my experience of doing these things, as well as some of the sort of more scientific is the wrong word because I don't want that tone in it, but some of the more sort of evidence-based reasons why this stuff works. And also just the fact that before I think I hadn't picked my audience properly, and now I have. So I know who I'm aiming it to. I know who I'm speaking to, and that person is me.
Yeah, I think that is so crucial. Like, I can't remember if it was this podcast last week or my podcast, but I've been talking about the fact that I was struggling with the structure of side characters. And I've always said, whenever anybody asks me about nonfiction, I always say that structure, that angle, that thing you're hooking it on is the hardest bit to get. And until you have that, you can't really shape the book. Like, you can put words down and those words may or may not stay, but you don't really have the shape of the book until you, and this is the thing, it's because nonfiction solves a problem. So you have to know what the problem is in order to know the answer of which you are writing the book explaining. So yeah, I completely get that. And that's the exact problem that I had with side characters this time. And I now have it also because I've been doing reading and research. And also because yeah, I know. And just giving ourselves the time to and the permission. This is a really hard thing. Like, I need permission to have another day of reading, and I can't quite give it to myself because I've had a whole week of not delivering, but I need another day. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, it's very, very difficult when you do this full time to give yourself the time out to do that research and learning and reading, because what we do pays our mortgage or pays our rent, and if we don't do that thing that does that, it's scary. So yeah, and yet we can't literally physically can't move on with a project unless we have done that work. So it is hard.
Yeah, I will give a shout out to one of our mutual friends, Chris Kane, from the Right Away podcast, who I basically sent over the blurb of the book to, because when I was coming up with the cover, I sent the blurb over to the artist, and it was really difficult coming up with the blurb because I didn't have the angle, and I sent it over to her and a few others, and she came back and basically went, yeah, this doesn't sound like you. And I was like, okay, really interesting that you picked that up straight away. So that's kind of played on my mind a lot, and I'm definitely in a much stronger position with it, and I've laid 2,000 words on it so far. I'm going to be chipping away at this weekend and trying to get another batch of that down before I start working on my next project. And yeah, I'm excited. What's one thing that you've enjoyed this week?
So as part of this fasting thing that I've been doing since December, in January, I started getting really cold at about 2.
I'd enjoy that too.
About 2 to 3 hours before I end my fast, and it's a sign that my body is sending all my blood to my fat cells to remove the fat cells and convert them into energy and whatnot. So I've been getting very, very cold feet and very, very cold hands, and my mum gave me a pair of fingerless gloves which I have been thoroughly enjoying this week because they have saved me from being cold. And I tell you what, I don't understand how to be cold. I am not a cold person. Chloe always says I'm like her radiator because I literally I billow out heat. Like, any cold bed, you put me in it, and within a couple of minutes, the whole bed is warm. Like, I just radiate heat. And I have never, I can go out in winter without a coat, not get sick. It's just, I don't know, what it is about me. Probably all the layers of fucking insulation I had. Anyway, I'm losing some of those layers, and consequently, I'm discovering what it means to be cold for the first time in my life. And I don't really like it. So yeah, thanks, Mummy, for the gloves.
I love that that's your thing of the week this week. My thing that I've enjoyed this week was a reminder, which is again because
is it a reminder that I'm amazing?
No, I don't need one of those. I get one of those every time you text me, Sacha. Is basically a reminder of sort of just headspace and mindset. And so I was basically talking to an author friend this week, and she was struggling with the fact that as a parent, there's a lot going on. As an author, there's a lot going on. And as I was talking to her, I suddenly reminded myself and realized again that as authors, full-time independent authors, obviously there's a lot of elements of our business. There's the marketing, there's the finance, there's the creation, there's the strategizing, there's the communication, there's a whole raft of things that we do. And the reminder was that, like, if you were running this as a small business, you'd have different people in each of those roles, specialized to do each of those things with the time to deliver all the things that you're trying to deliver.
Yep.
And I think it was just that reminder that we are one person bands making this happen. And sometimes that does mean that progress is a little slower, especially like in the earlier stages until you can hire VAs and bring more people into your team. But just that as a general reminder was
that last bit just before you get a VA is the most painful and difficult as well, because that's it. It is the most painful and difficult.
Yeah. I imagine it is.
No, I think you're there.
Yeah,
you are.
Okay, let's discuss after.
Okay.
But yeah, so it's just that reminder again, because like you get to a point where you're like, I should be able to do all of the things, and then obviously like there are some things you can't account for, like a global pandemic and a shift in schedule, and if the market changes, there's all these things you don't have control of. But ordinarily, if this was a business, there would be 5-6 people minimum doing all of the things. So just a reminder to people who are trying to do everything that it's okay if you're not right now.
And also, you're amazing. And so are we, because we do it all. And so do you. So, yeah, basically bathe in your fucking amazingness.
Wow. Sunshine from Sacha.
I know. Wait, what? No.
Okay, weekly confessional. I will finish Big Magic and read more non-fiction. I finished Big Magic and I am working my way through a book by Mark McGuinness called Productivity for Creative People, and sort of chipping my way through that. So yeah, did the things.
Can you tell me what I was supposed to do? I was going to say, I don't have that to hand.
Yours was to record one chapter of your audiobook and work on side characters.
Yeah, I did record. I recorded the chapter and I recorded the summary, and I sent them to the proofer who has proofed them. And I think there was 2 or 3 changes. So I've just got it. That's on my list of things to do today. But yes, I recorded it. And side characters, I wrote 1,300 words, which is very disappointing for me. But I also spent almost a whole working day restructuring the book. So I mean that counts too, even though
heavy lifting.
Yeah, it was heavy lifting, even though in like the achiever strength in my brain is like, bitch, that's not anything, that doesn't count. But yeah, no, the rational part of my brain knows that had to be done, otherwise I wasn't going to be finishing the book. So
well done. That's progress. Just a reminder for people that the NLA challenge, for anyone who pledged the things they were going to achieve by the end of January, we are going to call those out next week. So if you haven't yet updated us on your progress, there is a post on the Facebook group in which you can just put your comments in, let us know where you're at. Even if you haven't achieved it, just let us know the progress you made, because even just moving a couple of steps forward is better than where you were at the beginning of December. And the prizes, just one more time, are 1 30-minute coaching call with Dan, or a 1 30-minute consulting call with Sacha, or the runner-up will get a signed copy of the Anatomy of Prose. So get those in, because we want to see how everyone is doing. And I will also add, just off script, that I am loving our Facebook community right now and our Patreon community, and just how engaged people are and willing to share their successes and kind of just buoy each other along. And yeah, I think it's really nice to see all of that happening.
Yeah, I totally agree. We love you guys.
Yes. And speaking of Patreon, we have no new patrons this week, but for anyone who wants to get early access to the show and get involved in our monthly live Q&As, then head on over to patreon.com/next level authors, and you can get involved there for as little as $2 a month. Our level up for this week, I was going to say month then. How often do we do these? Every week.
Every week, yeah.
And we have for 44 weeks.
Also, just before you give the level up, if anybody is leveling up, please do pop it in the Facebook group, because I don't think we've got that many level ups left, do we?
No. Not for lack of people doing amazing stuff, just
because we haven't pushed you
out
to tell us. Yeah.
So tell us, drop it in Facebook and let us know. This week, we're going to go with Scott, who says, I was sitting here thinking, you can't post anything, you've not achieved anything. And this was just for context in answer to what have you achieved in 2020. Actually, you should probably be writing right now. Then you'd have something to show for your year. Then I realized my sneaky bastard of a brain had decided to remove the fact that I finished writing a novel for the first time this year. My brain had obviously decided I needed to move on from that achievement, as thinking about it might make me feel good about myself. The sneaky bastard. So I wrote a novel this year, and not many people can say that. Absolutely. I'm away to get another gin and raise a toast to all of our achievements. And again, that's just a reminder that, because we're terrible for it as well, but we do achieve a lot. And we need to sometimes remind ourselves about those successes that we have along the way, because I'm very quick to just jump onto the next thing and forget the awesome that we've done. Comments. Let's do comments and then do the other thing.
Yeah, we had a lot of comments, so I'm not going to be able to
loads of comments.
Read them all out. So I'm going to pick commenters who I don't read out very often. So excuse me, we had one from Luke Condor who says, loved this topic. It's oddly something I think about a fair bit. I tend to prescribe to Alan Moore's thinking on conjuring, that we collectively shape the world through our ideas and our stories. I wrote a little bit about it in a book recently, actually, and I hope he doesn't mind me reading this out, because I'm going to. As a guy who makes things, I'm still blown away by the transmogrification of thoughts, how through action and intent, they can become tangible things we can touch and experience. London was the ultimate example of it, a mass collection of ideas carved out of the ground itself by time and effort. People dreamt so hard that they changed the fucking skyline. How is that not incredible? I love that so much. Oh shit, I just came out of the group, so now I don't have the comments.
Done. While you relook for that, we'll just for people who might be joining us this week, this is in relation to last week's question, which was, what's the closest thing to real magic?
Oh yeah, sorry. Okie dokie. So Jasmine said, as a kitchen witch, this is a very tricky question, but forget spells and energy work. True magic, the powerful stuff, for me, that's the fact that you can stick this tiny seed in the ground, no larger than a grain of sand, and a whole plant will come out of that and feed itself on sunlight and air. I completely agree. I think I just think growth and life is mind-boggling. Juliet Fisher says, writing-wise for me, it's finding the flow state where the right words just come. It's not until I have a difficult few weeks that I really appreciate it, though. Big thank you to other commenters, Edwin, Victoria LK Williams, Ida, Carey, who else? Hollyline, Samantha, Renee, Faye, and Meg.
Thank you very much, guys. One more shout out before we get into the main topic is we are coming up to our anniversary of sorts, and we were talking a little bit before we started recording about what we might do for the celebratory episode 50 or episode 52, depending on how this goes. But in short, we're not sure how best to celebrate our 1 year of podcasting. So we're going to throw the question out to you guys on Patreon and Facebook. If you've got any cool ideas for things that you might want to see, I literally have sort of nothing at the minute. Like, I'm sure I will come up with some things, but if you've got anything that you specifically want to see as listeners to the show, then let us know. And also just decide for us whether we celebrate episode 50 because it's a nice round number, or episode 52 because that's the actual year of the anniversary. And yeah, that'll be episode 50 will be 6 weeks from today, and episode 52 will be 8 weeks. So there's a bit of time to come up with ideas, but yeah,
there is a bit of time, but we have to, we'll have to plan in and make sure we do have sorted whatever it is. Can I just promote one thing before we go into the question?
Oh, fine.
I'm doing a live Q&A with Mark Lefebvre. Mark has been on my podcast. He's an amazing writer. He currently does some freelance stuff for Drafted Digital. He's also was basically one of the main drivers of Kobo Writing Life. So huge name in the indie world. And he is co-writing a book with Erin Wright, I think is her surname, who is the founder of the Wide for the Win Facebook group. So if anybody is wide and wants to sell more books wide, anybody who wants to go wide, leave KU. This session is for you. If anybody is just publishing for the first time and they don't know how to market wide, this session is going to be for you. I will be hosting it in the Rebel Author Facebook group. It's on the 17th of March and it will be 8 p.m. UK time. I'm not going to do the other times because I don't have them in front of me, but all of the information is in that Facebook group. Maybe I can give you a link to,
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, because we don't actually promote any of our stuff again. Like this, it's because that's not what this is for, this podcast. But also, you know, I think I genuinely feel like this is going to be really helpful for people. So that's why
I'm probably going to join. I'm literally in the process of taking all my books out of KU at the minute, so I'll listen. Cool. I'll be there. Cool. This week's question, very, very relevant. I think one that I've been wanting to ask for ages, but lots of different things might have slowed me actually asking this. But the question for me this week is, how do you balance parenthood with an author career?
Oh, buddy.
We don't know, and that's all the time we have. Yeah. See you next week.
Like, this is such a horrible, brilliant question because, okay, so I don't know if I believe in balance, which is controversial, I know. I feel like balance is this intangible thing that we place on a pedestal, right? It's like the dream, it's the ultimate goal. But whenever you get to a dream, or whenever you get to a milestone, it's never quite what you think it's going to be. And I always feel like that is the case with balance, because like, what is balance really? You know, it doesn't, as a parent, like particularly as a parent, but I think it's the case for anybody with either caring responsibilities or just fucking responsibilities, somebody who works a day job and writes, or, you know, whatever. Like, what is balance really? Because when you get to, let's say you can write stories all day, I guarantee you know, if that's all you do all day, every day, you're going to get to the point where either you burn out, you run out of inspiration and have to go and do something else, or, you know, you run out of stories, you get bored. I don't know, like nothing is ever going to stay the same forever. Like balance is never going to be balance forever. And I think the other thing that balance or this concept of balance does is it stops us from being in the present. And I reckon that almost sounds contradictory to what the term is supposed to do, but it's like striving for this thing that's never going to actually exist, rather than just existing in the moment, you know, and like doing your best in the moment. And that is all I can ever do with parenthood. So, you know, like I am not the perfect parent. Over this lockdown, my son has had far too much tech time. What the fuck else am I supposed to do? Like, I still have to run a business. And if I don't run a business, we're not going to be able to pay the mortgage, you know? So like, I try my hardest to accept that I probably don't really want balance in my life. I just want to love the things that I am doing. And so that means that when I can afford it, I will palm off more of the shit that I don't really want to do, like admin. And actually, maybe I should try harder to palm some more of the stuff that I am doing off, because that's balance. That balance is spending as much of your time doing the stuff that you really want to do. And I don't think that that is balance in the way that many people think of balance. Many people think of balance as you only work 9 to 5, you have holidays here, there, and everywhere. But that isn't the job that we have. Okay, we are entrepreneurs. We are going to have to work evenings. We are going to have to work weekends. And we fucking asked for it. Like, that is what we asked for. We literally said, universe, give me the fucking job that I want. You know, I want it all. I want it. And our jobs are so all encompassing. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay having to work the odd weekend. I'm okay having to work the evening. What I'm not okay with is being exhausted all the time, not being present, and striving after something that, you know, that society has told me I should want. Like, I don't think my life will ever be balanced in terms of that suburban nightmare, white picket fence, 9 to 5 job. And that's okay. And I'll tell you why that's okay, because, you know, I will sit down and play bloody Minecraft Top Chumps at 6 o'clock in the morning with my son, because that's what I can do and that's what I like doing. You know, we will again have holidays where I don't for the most of it, don't take my work with me. You know,
I bet you take something just in case though.
Yeah, shut up. All I can do, all I can do is be as present as I possibly can be, and keep pushing my business until I'm at the point where I can afford to palm off everything that isn't the things that I enjoy. And, you know, I think that is the closest that I can ever get to what people think of as balance. In my mind, I want to play hard and I want to rest hard. And I don't, balance to me feels like you're taking it easy and you're not, you know, you're just sort of very slow and relaxed. And that's not for me. That's not my life. Other people like that, and that's cool. I go ahead, but that's not for me. That's not what I want. I want to run through my life at 1,000 miles per hour, experiencing everything, feeling everything, doing everything, seeing everybody, visiting everywhere and absorbing as much as I possibly can of the world and people and everything. And I just think that is very anti, like, the dictionary definition of balance. So fuck balance. That's my answer. Fuck balance. My TED talk is over. You're welcome.
No, it was beautiful. I I found it really interesting that balance was the key word that you honed in on.
Why? What did you say? Well, oh shit, what was the real question?
How do you balance parenthood and an author career?
Yeah. Okay.
So where does parenthood fit into that sense of balance? Because you're absolutely right. Like the nature of this business means that balance is, unless you're like ridiculously stringent on boundaries and you're happy rejecting certain opportunities that could make you very good amounts of money in a digital economy in a world that is 24/7. You're absolutely right. Like this is what we signed up for. But where does parenthood play into that idea for you?
I feel like I did try to answer that. You know, I think the point is that it doesn't. There is no balance. You know, in what I was trying to say in one sentence summary is that when I am working, I try my hardest to just work 100%. And when I'm parenting, I try very hard to parent 100%. And the times where that folds over, like homeschooling, essentially what I tried to do was I tried to reshuffle what I was doing. So in the day I had to do admin. I worked on things I knew would bring me money, like advertising my books. It wasn't writing more books, but I couldn't do that with a fractured like attention span. You know, and just, yeah, I just 100% for him and 100% for the business. And I get that you can't have 200%. I just guess I'm gifted. No, I'm joking. Okay. I'm joking. Look, I don't think there is an answer. It's fucking bullshit. Okay. Yeah. Like, it's really, really hard. But I don't think this is just pandemic related. I think anybody at any point, you know, having a business and having you know, a child, it's hard. And ultimately, he doesn't get all of my attention all of the time. And that's tough. Like, that's just the way that it is. He wants Switch games, therefore I must work, you know? So yeah, I still maintain what I said. I try to parent 100% and work 100%. And at some point in there, take 5 minutes for me. Oh, and this is the other thing. I know it will get easier because it's easier now than it was a year ago because I'm earning more in that sense. Like, I have more passive income streams, but I think we have to work. We have to do the work and go through that pain to get to the point where we can afford to slack a little. My dad talks about this to me quite a lot. And it came up like when I was still working on the dining room table, and I was like, I am so sick of not having a personal space to like work and have an office. And he was like, well, you haven't earned it yet. I was like, what are you talking about? I work my fucking ass off. And he said, I didn't say you didn't work hard. He said, you haven't earned it yet. You have to earn the right to have that space. You have to do the work in order to get that space. Well, we have to go through this, which is the hardest point of owning a business. We're broaching that 2-year point, and we haven't done the work to have 7-figure businesses. We haven't. It's bullshit. It's tough and it hurts and it's exhausting. But you know, he has done the work and he has broken through that barrier. And so he does get to work 2 or 3 days a week, you know, but he also spent 18 years working 100-hour weeks. Well, that's where we are. And, you know, that means that unfortunately our kids aren't going to get 100 hours of our attention a week. You know, our businesses, you know, I don't know. I don't know if I'm talking round and round in circles or making any sense, but what I'm trying to say is, it's shit. You just have to keep going.
Yeah. No, fair enough. I obviously, like, there's a reason that I'm asking this question, because particularly this lockdown has been particularly tough, mostly because I moved like an hour and a half away from my son in order to save money to buy a house back near my son, because my parents live, you know, a distance away. And at the time, like, I don't in any way regret the decision, because everything was in place. Like, I was still seeing him sort of regularly. I'm saving up money very, very easily now compared to what I would be if I was still renting in a place where I was. But this lockdown and the school shutting and everything has changed a lot, because I do live with my parents at the minute. It means that I am, quote, a bit more available in terms of looking after my son. But what I didn't account for was, and I won't get into details, but there's a lot of like personal stuff behind the scenes, particularly in regards to like my mum, she doesn't have a job. My dad works full time, and my mum is dealing with a lot of different stuff, which means that a lot of the time it still all comes down to me to sort out the kid, and rightly so, he's my son. But what I didn't realize, and what I've kind of had to really, really think about and flip my mind on this week, is that out of my list of all my things that I do, and the reason I'm looking up at my board is because I wrote everything down this week, is put parenting on there as a to-do, because it's very, very all-encompassing. Mm-hmm. And on days in which I can entertain him with his Switch and, you know, send him off for a couple of hours to have a bit of fun. But within that, I then feel guilty because I feel like he's here and I should be spending time with him, but I have to work. But at the same time, I can't get into deep work because I know that every 5-10 minutes, he's going to come and show me a wither storm that he's fucking built on like Minecraft or something. And it's trying to find, for me, a routine that works with like me getting my deep work done versus things that I can just kind of like keep simmering along and getting on top of. And one of the ways that I'm approaching that at the minute is when he is here, I've started doing my early mornings again, because I'm like, I just have to have that like hour or two before he wakes up in which I can just get ahead, so the rest of the day is easier. But then on top of that, you have to homeschool and you have to look after him. So like for me, I don't really have a definitive answer to this, but I thought it would be a prudent question, because I know we have a fair few author friends who are doing both. You know, their parents who are juggling businesses. Some of them do very successfully. Some of them it's a lot harder. And I think for me, the big thing this week has just been, and it sounds really awful, but it's just remembering I'm a parent, because I don't know. I don't know how best to phrase this, but yeah, just remembering that's a thing. And also it's a large part of your time and energy. Because I've been like, part of the reason I was exhausted last week was just, I've got a 6-year-old. I've got a 6-year-old at home with me. I've got a 6-year-old that normally would be at school with his friends, who would expel all his energy onto them, and he's just not. But yeah, in regards to balancing parenthood with an author career, I don't know that and I think you touched on this, there's not really a definitive way to answer it other than to make your own way, and to remember that like everyone is different. And although you'll see things on social media, although you speak to friends that have all these tips that are fantastic and good ways to like balance everything, you've just got to find what works for you, and just the best that you give is the best that you can do.
I have one extra tip. Well, I haven't really given any tips, but I have one tip that won't actually work for everybody. The thing that I think is the most draining is task switching.
Mm-hmm.
Because task switching, as we know, has a big impact on the brain anyway. But I think there is a higher task switching burden when it's parenting, because the requester has a need. They need a piece of you, be it energy, attention, physical love, whatever. For those who can compartmentalize, the only way I can reduce that impact, that mental strain of task switching, is by like practicing compartmentalization a bit more, and that's one of the things that I try to do, including opening a box, screaming into it mentally, and shutting the door. But yeah, like I find when I can compartmentalize, it helps with my focus, and just that task switching, like the impact of task switching is slightly less.
Yeah, I'm finding I really have to plan. So like I know that I'll be picking him up again in a few days, so I'm going to have him for a stretch of time, and within that, I am using the next few days just to get all of the admin, all of the things that are like nitty gritty bits just done and out of the way, so I just don't have to worry about them for like a week or two, and then I can just focus on like hopefully just one main to do each day. Although obviously that you also have to get very, very comfortable with the fact that a lot of the time your day is never going to go as planned. Because you can't account for all of the different interruptions, all the different styles, and kids being kids, every day is different because of however they decide to wake up and whatever mood they decide to be in. So it's tough. I do sometimes have moments where I am envious of people in this business who don't have kids, but then like you say, at the same time they have a whole mixture of the different issues as well that come with that. I will say it's give a shout out as well to the guys over at the Six Figure Authors, because there was an episode where they reviewed 2020, and actually part of listening to that sprang this sort of line of thought, and it was just talking, it was Andrea Pearson talking about her experience working while being a full-time mother, and she talks about the sort of things she's putting in place for 2021, some of like the massive difficulties of all of that. And yeah, I think it's just helpful sometimes to put this stuff out there and let other people realize that like it's not just them having to go through it, because you've been really quiet on the whole like trying to juggle parenthood and work thing. Like you barely said anything about it over the last year, so I thought we'd we highlight it here.
Oh, fuck you.
Awesome. Any last points on that?
Whatever you are feeling, it's okay.
Yeah, we got a letter from my mum showed me a letter from our local school where the head teacher basically sent an email around to everyone, just saying like, whatever you're doing, this is unprecedented. Whatever you're doing with your kid, even if it's just 10 minutes of reading a day, it's fine. Like we'll send work. Hopefully like the kids can do work, but if you can't, it's fine. Like this is yeah. I think we've gone on about coronavirus stuff a lot. Okay then, so question of the week for next week. How do you balance parenthood with an author career? And
can we just add, because not everybody is going to be a parent, can we change the question just mildly? How do you balance parenthood or responsibilities? Just so that we include everybody.
Yeah. Let me just note that. I'm going to lose sheet here. How are you leveling up your author business this week?
I am going to record one more chapter, and I am going to work on side characters.
Okay. I am going to finish setting up my mailer autoresponders and finalize the product pages that I'm working on my website. Get those done so they're ready and good to go.
Love it.
Beautiful. Yeah, thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next week.
Yeah, we will. Bye.
Bye. Hungry for more?
If you enjoyed this podcast, you can hear more of my angelic accent and Dan's dulcet tones on our other podcasts.
For more of me, check out the Great Writer Share podcast.
For more of me, listen to the Rebel Author podcast. We'll be back next week holding each other to account as Dan
and Sacha
become
next level
authors.
Oh, you bitch, you're recording.
I told you I was recording.
I wasn't listening.
Oh, well, there you go.